This is Kazutsugi Nami, a 75-year-old businessman who enjoyed a cult-like following among his investors. But at the end, he was called Japan's version of Bernard Madoff. Nami and his associates were accused of pocketing at least $1.4 billion from his investors. The alleged scam lasted for over 8 years, which would make this one of the biggest scams since Toyota Shoji, who conned thousands of investors out of 12 billion yen to buy gold bars in the late 1980s. Today, let's look at the story of Kazutsugi Nami, one of the biggest scamsters in Japanese history. The man in focus is Kazutsugi Nami. He was the chairman of the L&G betting company, where L&G stands for ladies and gentlemen. In 2007, he faced accusations of siphoning off $1.4 billion from 37,000 investors, although some reports put the sum as high as $2.5 billion. But this is not his first. The story of fraud goes back to the 1970s, when he was vice president of APO Japan, an auto equipment sales company in Tokyo. The company was involved in collecting investments from 250,000 people on sales of exhaust gas devices. Of course, all of this was on paper, but in reality, it was a giant pyramid scheme. Soon, the company's operations became a major social problem, and it went bankrupt in 1975. In the early 1960s, Tokyo faced a chronic water shortage, and shortage was so severe that water supply to 1 million households had to be cut around the time of the 1964 Summer Olympics. At the time, people used to call the city the Tokyo Desert. Nami saw the opportunity to capitalize on the scarcity. In 1973, before the bankruptcy of APO Japan, Nami established Nozaku, a company which sold magic stones that were marketed as a water purifier that could transform tap water into natural water. Under normal circumstances, most people would perceive this as a scam. But for people at that time, due to water scarcity, they would believe any magic pill presented to them. Over the period of time, the company gained popularity, and its annual sales reached to more than 2 billion yen, and it kept on growing. But it didn't take people much time to realize that what was happening to them was nothing but a scam, and soon the company went bankrupt in 1978. Nami was arrested in September 1978 by Mie Prefectural Police on suspicion of fraud, and was sentenced to prison. Before his arrest in 1978, Nami established another company named PHC, which was into selling pressure cookers, which soon halted its operations as he was imprisoned. After being released from prison in 1987, Nami was a changed man. He wanted to change his life around and wanted to have an honest living. This time, he started a new company named L&G, short form for ladies and gentlemen, and started selling futons and bedding. But the greed inside him didn't let him free. It didn't take him much time. He soon started a pyramid scheme in his new venture. L&G began declaring in 2001 that it will pay dividends of 9% every 3 months on investments of 1 million yen. Effectively, that's a whopping annual return of 36%. You see, this is the worst economic period in Japanese history. Due to the asset price bubble burst in 1980s, the Japanese stock market plummeted, losing more than $2 trillion in value by December 1990. Experts call the post-1990 period in Japan as the lost decades. The Japanese market took more than a decade to recover from this bubble burst. So investors were looking for a magic bullet to save themselves from the price crash. Nami presented them with an opportunity in the form of L&G. Those who brought in new investors to the company were rewarded with commissions, which is how a typical pyramid scheme works. Later on, he introduced his own currency called enten, which is a combination of Japanese currency yen and heaven. The firm also collected funds in enten, pledging to pay at least 100,000 yen worth of enten every year for deposits of at least 100,000 yen in cash. In 2004, people who deposited 100,000 yen or more received the same amount in enten through their mobile phones, and this can be used to buy items ranging from vegetables to futons, clothes, and jewelry. The company organized bazaars at hotels in which food items and clothes could be bought with enten. It also boasted that it had 1,000 member stores nationwide in which goods could be purchased using the currency. The company would later reimburse the stores at a rate of 1 yen for every 4 enten. Later on, enten was declared as legal currency that can be used in L&D online sites, speeding up the company's collection of investments. People who put up cash one time for the company got the same sum of enten in exchange every year, making them feel that their money would never disappear even if they spent it. Popularity for Enten started growing. The NTV network showed an Enten fair where participants sang the praises of the investment plan. Nami wooed his shareholders, saying he had a divine decree to eliminate poverty from this world. Enten life is wonderful, a woman said. It's like a dream, I can buy anything, another woman said. However, in February 2007, in an unusual move for a betting company, the company informed all members that it was converting investment dividends from cash to Enten. This one-sided announcement resulted in a flood of requests from investors to cancel contracts and sparked lawsuits demanding the return of principal investments. The company stopped paying cash dividends around the same time, and by September of that year, the company had sacked most of its employees. In October, police searched the Tokyo-based company's head office on suspicion of violating the regulation laws. In November 2007, the company declared bankruptcy. Nami was subsequently arrested in 2009 on suspicion of large-scale investor fraud, along with 21 of his associates. The arrest came 2 months after U.S. broker Bernard Madoff was arrested and charged with using billions of U.S. dollars from new investors to pay off older ones in a pyramid scheme. Nami admitted that he never used Enten himself, and when reporters asked whether his salary was paid in Enten, he replied, "God, no, my salary is paid in yen." The arrest of Nami happened in the most bizarre manner. At the time of his arrest, in a Japanese restaurant near his apartment, a weird scene was captured by TV cameras and photographers. Beautiful female reporters surrounded him like hostesses. The news of Nami getting arrested was leaked to TV stations before the days leading to the arrest. Several TV stations started dispatching their female reporters to cover Nami, including his private life at pachinko parlors, the golf course, and bars. Insiders say that female reporters closely communicate with detectives and find out about high-profile arrests in advance. A crime reporter of one major newspaper says, to get insider information at the MPD, a sexy reporter can find out more than 10 male reporters. Every TV station arranges to have at least 2 female reporters keep in touch with detectives. They often have drinking sessions with them. They are like female ninja. An insider recalls that a female TV reporter once went back to Nami's apartment, saying that she left her belongings and was seen there the next morning by other reporters. The rumor was that she stayed with Nami for the night, he added. Moments before his arrest in front of the TV cameras, Nami was unrepentant as he seemed unfazed while having breakfast in a restaurant. "Please shoot the face of the biggest con man in history," he said, sipping from a big glass of beer at 5:30 a.m. "I'm leading 50,000 people. Can they charge a company this big with fraud?" Shortly before being led away by police, he was asked if he felt sorry for his cheated investors. "No, I have put my life at stake," he said. "Why do I have to apologize? I'm the poorest victim. Nobody lost more than I did. You should be aware that high returns come with a high risk." Lawyers acting for 900 of the victims say that one elderly woman had been defrauded of more than 100 million yen. One victim, a 65-year-old woman who lost 30 million yen that she had saved over 4 decades. Another woman said, "I thought the company was fine as it was in business for a long time." Another woman, aged 70 and who had lost 2 million yen, said, "I had fun and a lively life. I was stupid. It's my fault as I was greedy." Despite all the testimonials, Nami insisted that he is innocent and he was the victim and not the villain. On March 18, 2010, Nami received an 18-year prison sentence for financial fraud.